And we have not just one, but two special guests today. First and foremost, we welcome back to the K-Talk radio audience, Lindsey Williams. Welcome, sir.
What a privilege it is to be with you today, Mills. Thank you for allowing us to be here.
Great pleasure. Will you please introduce the doctor?
I would consider it a privilege to introduce a gentleman that I consider to be one of the foremost people in the world on alternative natural health care, Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, who founded the International BioCare Hospital and Medical Center, and it is a joy. I oftentimes say that I want to be on the program with Dr. Rodriguez. He is such a wonderful individual in the healthcare field, until I feel that I'm with him instead of him with me today, Mills. Dr. Rodriguez?
Doctor, a great pleasure to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A privilege also to be with in your program.
Well, thank you, sir. Before we get started, I do need to make one announcement. We will definitely be delivering the silver that our audience has ordered on Thursday. We'll have it here at the station on Thursday, and our listeners will be able to come in and pick up their orders. Lindsey, you'll get a kick out of this. We'll talk more about this in the second hour, but I thought you would get a kick out of this. Within the last 10 minutes, I had a brief meeting with a couple of former missionaries who were missionaries in Germany, and they talked to some elderly Germans who were alive just before Hitler came to power in Germany. And the one woman said, we went through this terrible time when our money was not worth anything. It was just absolutely worthless. And she said, that dirty farmer made me bring in a silver spoon to trade for one egg. And that was a real story from a real person, and I thought you might get a kick out of that.
That is going to happen again, Mills, not too distant future. And those who are concerned about where gold and silver is right now, please do not sell your gold. Do not get rid of your silver. The bottom has probably arrived. It is going to at least $3,000 an ounce on gold. It's going to $75 to $100 on silver. I beg of you, don't be concerned out there right now. The market is going back up, and you will need it in order to be able to survive.
We'll talk more about that during the second hour. But right now, Doctor, as I understand, and Lindsey, I think people need to understand our whole medical association is being turned on its ear because of Obamacare. What are your thoughts on this?
January the 1st of 2014, our healthcare system in America will never be the same again. Now, Mills, back the first time I had the privilege of being on your show, I made a statement that approximately 4 years ago, I was on the telephone with my elite friend. His name was Mr. Fromm. He died about a year and a half ago. This man knew everything that went on behind closed doors because he was one of the elite of the elite. And 4 years ago, when he and I were on the phone, he mentioned a healthcare system. And I said, Ken, what do you mean? He said, Lindsey, there's going to be a healthcare system put in place in America. And I said, a healthcare system? He said, yes. And I said, you mean a healthcare bill? He said, yes. And then he made the statement. He said, this is not a healthcare bill. I hope you caught that, everyone out in the audience. This is not a healthcare bill. Mr. Fromm said it a little over 4 years ago, and I said, Ken, what do you mean? He said, Lindsey, this is the ultimate final control of the elite to control the American people. He said, number one was the Patriot Act. He said, number two is the Health Care Act. Now, I am right now talking with you, Mills, from Tijuana, Mexico. I am in the office of one of the doctors here at the IBC Hospital. And I would like to suggest to everyone out there in the audience, you are going to need this place. And let me try to explain why briefly, because I want Dr. Rodriguez to get on as quick as he can. there is a doctor, Elizabeth Villette, an MD, medical doctor, and she has written an article about the new healthcare system. I want to read you a few of her statements. She said, as of January the 1st of 2014, there will be longer waits for medical care. Next, fewer options for specialists. Next, increased number of Americans to be forced into second-class medical care. I want to read you this statement. 3 words, rationing of medical. Did you catch this? There will be rationing of health care as of January the 1st of 2014. Again, she said, if you're denied treatment, now please, people catch this, under Obamacare, under the new health care bill, if you are denied treatment, which you can be, you have no appeal of the IPAB decisions. You are simply out of luck and possibly out of life. Now, her last statement is this. This is advice from this doctor, and others are writing the same thing. She said, it's wise to consider, please catch this, folks. She said it is wise to consider proactive planning for medical treatment outside the United States of America. Now, this is a doctor, a practicing physician, saying, I would advise you right now, don't wait any longer. Find where you can go outside the United States of America if you want health care beginning January the 1st of 2014. That's the reason I'm here. I have come to this hospital. I have researched it. I have been here. This is my 3rd time doing research to make sure that there is no reason whatsoever for you to suffer from the diseases of today. I talked with a patient yesterday, and they said, we came here because we saw that you recommended this on your DVD. And I said, well, tell me what? They said, our doctor back home said, go home and die. We can't do anything else for you. That is not true. There is never a loss of hope. And that's what this hospital is, IBC Hospital and Dr. Rodriguez. So, Dr. Rodriguez, you tell them the story of what it's all about and how they can have hope.
Well, I think in this time, it's even more important to be aware of something that we always take for granted, which is our own health. And what we have to do is we have to be more proactive. We have to get more information. We have to learn how to keep our health because we're going to need it. Until we are absolutely positive of what changes are coming, we need our health. That's something we cannot just put on hold. So I would urge every single of the listeners to learn more about health maintenance and prevention, and do things that we can do. We all know many things we can do, like eating better and walking more and doing a little bit more of exercise, etc. But we have to now make this a priority because we're going to need our health until we're absolutely positive of what is going to happen with health care.
I think that's a critical point. Gentlemen, I already have a caller, and ordinarily I would delay the caller, but he's calling us from Snellens Grove, Pennsylvania. So in consideration of that fact, Jerry, welcome to K-Talk. You're on with Dr. Rodriguez and with Lindsey Williams.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez and Mr. Lindsey Williams. You are a lifeline for the people, and we hold you special in our heart, and thank you for allowing my call. I have a question here. I have a friend that was just to the doctor, and his doctor asked him a few questions, one of them being if he had any guns in his house, and the second question, if he had any food storage in his house. And I'm just wondering what one of my questions is. I'm wondering where this is all going.
Well, what relationship do guns and food storage have to seeing your cancer or your sugar diabetes or some other ailment that you have? There's no relationship whatsoever unless It is total control.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, there is no relationship whatsoever to the level of health or your condition unless you really want to know where people stand, to know what sort of maneuver possibilities you have.
Exactly. And also I had another friend of mine say that he had a friend that actually crossed the border a few weeks ago into Canada, and there on the border, one of the questions he was asked is, does he have guns at home? Of course, they asked, does he have guns in the car? But then the second question was, do you have guns at home? And I was just wondering, why would the Canadian government be asking something like that?
Well, once again, let me go to the statement of Mr. Fromm. Now, you know who he is.
Yes.
You who have heard me on the radio before. For years, this elite gentleman who knows everything that goes on behind closed doors has given me information, and never one time in 37 years has he ever said anything that didn't happen exactly like he said it. You know that. It's in the archives of the radio shows I've been on. This gentleman said to me 4 years ago, he said, Chaplain, this is not a health care bill. This is the final, ultimate control of the American people. That's really what it's all about. The name of the game is control.
And
Jerry, that's
like,
a pretty frightening prospect.
It sure is. It's very frightening. Yes, it is. And I know they're going to try to put the squeeze on us, and I just wondered how long with the gold and silver they can keep the game going to keep driving it down so that these people that are holding it might be able to, they're hoping to hold it so that it stays steady or goes up so they can pay their taxes, when they come due. That was just another question I had. How long do they want to keep playing the game?
Well, let me give you a statement from Jeff Smith. Now, you go to the Wall Street Journal and read this for yourself. It was just in the Wall Street Journal recently. Jeff Smith is one of the writers for the Wall Street Journal, and he's talking about the new health care system beginning 2014, and he says, I was given a quote of $842 per month for me and my family. That's right now. But that would increase to $2,320 starting in January of 2014 when Obamacare kicks in, a 276% increase for the identical same insurance policy.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
You are exactly right about the total control. Anyone that couldn't see that after hearing something like that would have to be blinder than a bat, I guess.
And who's going to police the entire system? What government agency was given the job of collecting the taxes? No, not a premium. You pay premium for hospitalization policy, but not with the government. Theirs is going to be a tax. And who is it that's going to see to it that the tax is collected?
The IRS.
The IRS.
Wow.
Okay, so
getting scary, Lindsey.
And they ordered, the government has ordered millions of rounds of hollow point ammunition for these various agencies. Why?
Probably because they feel that people are going to snap. They want to be prepared.
That's a scary prospect. We will be right back. Welcome back. By the way, those of you who are listening from around the world and in other parts of the United States, you are more than welcome to call in and ask questions of my guests, particularly those of you who are fans of Reverend Williams. The telephone number is area code 801-254-5855. Again, 801-254-5855. Just tell my producer, Liam Triplett, where you're calling from, and we will take you in the order in which you call in. And next hour, we're going to talk in some graphic detail about what's going to be happening soon to our economy, and I think it may awaken a number of you. But right now, this problem of the upcoming crisis in medicine in the United States, I think, is very critical. Dr. Rodriguez, are there techniques for handling serious diseases like cancer and diabetes and other things that just are not generally available in the United States, and why?
Well, let me tell you something very important to me, and this is something that we all, I'm sure we all believe in, which is healing. In other words, we understand and we know of the capacity of the body to heal itself, to bring health back. But the only way you're going to accomplish that is if you give the body the tools and the elements to work toward healing. And one of the problems right now is that if we are with any health problem, we expect the medication or the surgery or whatever to take care of that disease without us doing anything. That's probably one of the areas that we have just falling into a lot of complacency, and we don't do a lot of things that we know we should be doing. And the only way our body can heal is by helping the body do what the body knows how to do. So what we do at our hospital is the minute a patient comes in and the minute we examine them and we take blood tests and we do just very much like the regular work in any other place, we start getting toxics out of the body, we start doing cleansing, we start doing supplementation, we start changing the way we feed our body, because that's exactly what the body is going to need. The body needs clean water, good food, nutritious food. I mean, food is not just for our palate. It's actually what we're made of. So if we just don't get the body what the body needs, it not only will not heal, but it's going to get sicker. And unfortunately, a lot of the very deadly diseases that we're facing today, beginning with cancer, but also diabetes and also heart disease and high blood pressure. And if it doesn't take too long to realize that all these conditions really arise within our own body, because our body didn't know how to handle certain assaults or certain problems that we have brought into our life. Stress is one of them, but diet has a lot to do with it. Cigarette smoking, alcohol drinking. We're doing a lot of good part of helping all these now almost epidemic proportion chronic diseases just be successful.
Hello?
Yes? Hello?
I think we must...
No, my error. I'm sorry. I think that's fascinating. Lindsey, you've known these insiders for decades. Obviously, they know what the crisis in medicine is going to be like. They're causing it. Where are they going to go for medical help?
Oh, they have known where to go for years, Mills. That's the reason I'm here right now in Tijuana, Mexico, where I'm sitting right now at the IBC Hospital, because a number of years ago, an oil company executive with Atlantic Richfield, who was one of the top men at Prudhoe Bay when I was there, he was diagnosed with lung and liver cancer. He took what is called an alibisartose treatment. Now, he was given the very best of diagnosis in Washington State, and they said, go home and die. Well, you're too far gone. Now, many oil company people get that way because they breathe so many toxins all of their lives in the oil patch. This man did not take that at face value. He took what is called an alibisartose treatment, went back to the doctors a short while afterwards, was re-examined, and they said, we can't believe this. They said, there is no cancer. They said, it's gone. That was 20 years ago or better. That man today is in his 70s. I know him well. I talk to him on the phone on a regular basis. He flies his own airplane and is perfectly healthy. He has his cancer in remission. I did not say cured. I said in remission. The only place on the face of the earth that you can get this alibisartose treatment is at the IBC Hospital in Tijuana, Mexico. Not only that, but Dr. Rodriguez has pioneered a number of things, such as stem cell implants. They're doing it on my wife, by the way. My wife has rheumatoid arthritis, and we are here for a 3-week period for them to, as Dr. Rodriguez said earlier, clean up her body, get her ready, and then take her own blood and enhance the stem cells and put that blood back into her own body and inject it into the joints that are swollen. And we're expecting some very wonderful things to take place in relation to arthritis. So many things are out here, Mills.
That's marvelous. Extremely worthwhile information. Cheryl from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Welcome to K-Talk.
Hi. I was just wanted to say that it's an honor to speak with Pastor Williams again. I spoke with him the last time he was on Mills Crenshaw, and also Dr. Rodriguez. And all I really wanted to say was that I'm scheduled to go next Monday to your hospital, Dr. Rodriguez.
Wonderful.
And so I'm really looking forward to that. I've been sick for 14 years with what's considered an incurable disease, or not even a disease here in the United States. And so I'm really looking forward to attending your hospital, and your people have been very kind when that worked at the hospital when I spoke to them on the phone. So thank you, and thank Pastor Williams for letting us know about this hospital.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that we really care about people. We really do our best. I have very compassionate staff, people that really put themselves in the situation that you're in, and we take very seriously the suffering of people, the concerns of people. So that's the only way we're going to really put our hearts and brains together to help you find the way back to health, and that is through healing.
Cheryl, thank you for your call. Any other questions?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Well, you stay tuned. If you have more later in the program, you're welcome to call back.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. G in Salt Lake, welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to ask both gentlemen, and thank you both for being on. Do you see what will what Americans being restricted from leaving America as Berlin did?
Good question.
Well, thank you. I wish it wasn't something I'm worried about. I don't see how they're gonna just let us all leave, because once this hits, I think everybody's going to want to get out, just like Europe.
What do you think, gentlemen? Will the citizens of the United States be restricted from leaving for medical care?
Well, I hope not. I mean, that would be the ultimate of the freedoms that we lose if we are unable to move around and to look for help wherever we can get it. Because if we're not going to be able to get it, or if we're going to get it restricted or conditioned in the U.S., then we should at least be free to go wherever we feel we're going to find a better option.
Lindsey, what are your thoughts?
Well, many doctors are already suggesting that people should look right now. Proactively was the way that this doctor that wrote this article, and also the article that was in the Wall Street Journal, said that proactively you should start planning right now for medical outside the United States of America. That's the reason I've come here to IBC Hospital 3 different times. This is my 3rd visit here. I want a place to go. In fact, I said to Dr. Rodriguez one day, I said, Doctor, if I ever called you and say I'm sick, he said, Lindsey, just come on down. I'm 6.5 hours drive, and believe you me, I'd go there before I'd go to an American hospital even today. But then after 2014, January the 1st, you better believe you better have a place outside the United States of America to go. And that's the reason that I beg of you, now please, you have a pencil and paper, everybody out there in the listening audience, please jot this down. I want you to call this number. It is a toll-free number of the IBC Hospital in Tijuana, Mexico, that I have found to be the most reliable of any in the world that I know of. Please, the number is 800-262-0212, and ask them for their 60-page booklet and DVD. They'll send it to you free of charge. 60-page book and DVD on the hospital, all of their medical center, the different items that they can deal with here, you will be utterly amazed. Again, that's 800-262-0212, and ask for the booklet or the book and also the DVD, which will be sent to you, and you will see why you need a place outside the United States of America that you can call home when you need it.
Anything else, G?
No, thank you. What I also meant that Americans will just want to get out of here, not just for medical care, but just the way people tried to get out of places in Europe when the war started. Do they foresee that? And is that what all this ammunition is for? Obviously the borders don't keep people from coming into America, but my fear is, am I going to be prohibited from leaving? Period. And do they have this fear?
And unfortunately, that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for both guests. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate your call. We had another caller online by the name of Eva, but you just answered her question. She wanted the name of the hospital, which is IBC in Tijuana, Mexico, and you gave her their number, 800-262-0212 as well. I've talked to a couple of doctors lately who are doing something quite remarkable. They're from different parts of the United States, totally separate and apart from each other, but they're quitting insurance entirely. They will no longer take any insurance from anyone, and it's cash on the barrelhead, but the cost is sometimes less than a third of what it costs with insurance. Doctor, give us an idea of comparable costs there at your hospital. If somebody, for example, needs a CAT scan, what's it going to cost there at your hospital?
Well, prices for laboratory testing and imaging are going to be all the time, of course, lower. We have lower costs in that respect. So, like you were mentioning, a CAT scan, for example, can be as low as $150.
Wow.
In comparison to what you normally pay in the U.S. So it would normally be a lot lower. So,
well, if it's paid for insurance here in the United States, it could be up to $1,000 or $2,000.
Oh, I know. The insurance companies are charged an arm and a leg, and difficult to explain. I have never understood exactly why those figures, but of course that pushes the premium way up, and this person you're talking about, well, probably did all his mathematical work and came to the conclusion that it was probably better save the money and use it for medical expenses rather than just to pay the insurance company.
Well, do you take any insurance, or is it strictly...
No, we do accept insurance. We accept insurance, and I'm really happy to say that probably in 80% of people that have private insurance, the insurance will reimburse patients for their expenditure at the hospital.
That's really, really good to know. What are some of the treatments that you regularly give there at the hospital?
Well, one of the areas that we work very frequently with is cancer. But as I was telling you before, we have a number of chronic conditions that are growing and growing, like diabetes, heart disease, and chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. These are just rampant epidemic figures. They're just getting more and more people with this sort of a problem, and we address all of them. But as Pastor Williams was saying, with the availability of adult autologous stem cell therapy, we are getting fantastic results in a lot of conditions for which we barely had an answer before, and now we can do it. Remember that we're talking about stem cells that are obtained from your own body. We're not using embryonic, we're not using umbilical cord, we're not using cells that come from any other individual. They're your very own cells. And we can take them, we can concentrate them, we can feed them and make them much more active, while at the same time we improve the condition of the body. Many times these cells don't do anything because we're too toxic. We're undernourished in the sense that we don't have the sort of nourishment our body should have. I could tell you right now that probably 80% of the people listening to the show have digestive problems. They're so common because of what we eat. We don't eat any fiber, we don't eat any greens, we don't eat any fresh fruits and vegetables, let alone having 7, 8, 10 servings of those. I mean, nobody does it. And unfortunately, we're paying a big toll for it.
We need to pause for a commercial break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. By the way, for those of you who are listening to us on your computers, those of you who are out of state, it is area code 801-254-5855. Stephen, I'm thinking maybe your topic is enough off topic of the medical profession that it would be better if you waited until next hour, but I'll leave that up to you. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm a current freshman in college. It's a very important issues. So I prefer if you can ask Pastor Williams.
Go ahead.
Hi, Pastor Williams.
Yes.
I wonder if your opinions on the student loan, whether it's a good idea or not, because it seems like you cannot go to school without taking out a huge amount of loan.
Okay, Mills, I'm not quite understanding his question because he's breaking up.
He's thinking of taking out a student loan, and he wants to get your impression as to whether or not you think that's a good idea or not because of the high price of student loans.
Well, I think anything that has to do with interest, the Bible makes it very plain that usury should not be practiced, and it's not good for the person. You'll come out of college with an indebtedness that you'll be paying the rest of your life. And then, of course, who knows what the government is going to do with those student loans, just as they tried the other day to double the interest just with a flip of a finger in Congress, and then they decided to postpone it for a year. You'd be getting into a very, very dangerous situation. So I'd be very cautious if I were you. There are other ways to go to college besides borrowing money.
All right. Thank you very much for your answer.
I appreciate the call. Doctor, what do you see as, are you familiar enough with the with Obamacare that you can comment on it? This business of rationing medical care, and apparently that's part of the plan, according to Reverend Lindsey. It seems to me that that's inimical to everything medicine should stand for.
Well, as a doctor, and as any doctor will always tell you, anything that comes with rationing, it's an absolute rejectable idea. I mean, I couldn't work with anybody telling me what you can do and what you cannot do, or what you can spend, what you cannot spend. Because when you go to medical school, you're trained to do your job. You're trained to do what you know how to do. And if on the quest of getting some people's health back, you find somebody that tells you, no, but you cannot do this, or you, as simple as, no, I will not allow you to do a CT scan because it'd be expensive or whatever, I think that's 100% rejectable idea. I mean, that's probably something I couldn't live with, because you learn to do your things and you know how to do them. And I don't think anybody, forget about being a doctor, I don't think anybody in their right mind in any profession would accept that as a possibility. So, that to me would be the most objectable part of this plan if the plan comes as it's presented.
I appreciate that. Lindsey, what do you see as the future?
I was talking the other day on the phone with, and please go on YouTube and look at this for yourself. Please, you have your pencils and paper there. Write down David Janda, Janda, Dr. David Janda, one of the most prominent physicians in America out in the Midwest. He spoke before Congress recently on the health care program. He said to me, he has a radio show, by the way, Mills. That's the reason I know him quite well. He's had me on his show numbers of times. He said to me on the phone the other day privately, he said, Lindsey, to the best that I can tell, 40% of the healthcare professionals in America will have left the profession by January the 1st of 2014.
40%?
40%. Now, I've been keeping a list of doctors since he told me that. I have it at home, of doctors who have already closed their office or have said we are closing by a certain date. We cannot abide by the restrictions of Obamacare. We will not let the government tell us what's best for our patients. And you need to see what David Janda was told when he went to Congress about this little gadget that every doctor is given, and the government will tell that doctor what he must prescribe for that patient. And if he doesn't, he can be thrown in jail. I mean, folks, you don't have the slightest idea the atrocities that are in this health care bill. And I was told 4 years ago by Mr. Fromm, my elite friend, Chaplain, this is not a health care bill. This is the ultimate total control of the American people.
Scary, scary stuff. Mark in Rockland, California, welcome.
Oh, hi there.
You're on the air. Welcome.
Okay, well, thank you. I have a question for Dr. Rodriguez. My wife was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called VKH, also known as Harada's disease or Kobayaki-Harada's disease. You probably have heard of it. And she has been told that she has to be on methotrexate for the rest of her life or she will not be able to see again. She almost completely lost her eyesight and was on very high doses of prednisone. And we haven't found any physicians here in Northern California that seem to really know anything about it. I was curious as to whether your hospital has been known to treat this disease and whether there's any hope for her, and I'll just listen.
Okay, I'd like to have a little bit more information about her case, and what I'd love you to do is if you can call me, and actually anybody listening today and would like to talk to me personally, I encourage you to either call me or email me to the hospital, and that would be 800-701-7345.
701-7345.
Yeah, you can call and say, I want to talk to Dr. Rodriguez. I was with him on the radio, on Mill's show, and I'll be very happy to take your call and let's talk a little bit more. Yes, we have treated a lot of people with autoimmune diseases. They all have some sort of a common ground, and there are many things you can do as the wife of Pastor Williams, who has rheumatoid arthritis, which is also an autoimmune disease. Our bodies have to react we have to change the way our bodies react to a lot of things. And what they do is they have a wrong way of reacting, and what what our immune system does is attacks parts of our own body. And we can change that. We can help that area. So please give me a call. I'll send you information. I'll mail you information so we can start a good conversation and make plans to help her much better.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Rodriguez. We will do that, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Mark, thank you very much for calling in, and now that you've found us on K-Talk, don't be a stranger.
I will definitely be listening in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye now.
Telephone number 801-254-5855. It's fun for me to have so many of your followers, Lindsey, call on my show. I'm very honored. And one of the fun things about the Internet is that you can listen to any programming you want anywhere in the country. And I hope those of you who are listening to K-Talk for the first time will tell your friends, because we'd like to have you be regular listeners and regular callers. Again, the telephone number 801-254-5855. After the top of the hour, by the way, we're going to continue talking with Reverend Lindsey Williams, and we're going to be talking about what's in store for us as far as the economy is concerned. And one of the things that my audience has been doing, they have been stocking up on pure silver, and I only deal in fractions of ounces in both gold and silver because, well, we'll get into this in detail next hour, but it is my belief that these soon will be so valuable that if you have 1 ounce coins, either of gold or silver, you're going to be hard-pressed to get change. We'll talk some more about that next hour, but for right now, Dr. Rodriguez, what do you see as the number one health problem that you're confronted with almost on a daily basis?
Chronic degenerative disease. We're looking at these diseases. It might not sound like too much, but are all these health problems that we're seeing today, that you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you you have diabetes, you have high blood pressure, you have heart disease, you have any of these diseases, but the next item is they're going to tell you, now you have to take this medication for the rest of your life. What that means is there is not going to be a healing of that disease. We used to go to the doctor with a health problem, and then it would be, after some time, it would be history. And you were telling people that, yes, you had appendicitis, that, yes, you had pneumonia, that, yes, you had typhoid fever, etc. But now you have a disease that you're going to have for the rest of your life, and you're going to have to be on prescription medication for the rest of your life. I think that's unacceptable. And mainly because many of these diseases are diseases that we have produced ourselves through our lifestyles. In other words, we have to rethink the way we live. We have to rethink the way we treat our bodies, and we have to rethink the way we're going to produce the healing. Because to me, it's not acceptable that I have to be on a medication for the rest of my life, and I'm going to have this problem for the rest of my life.
Well, it makes us all slaves of pharmacological and pharmaceutical companies.
Absolutely. That's exactly what we are. And just to give you some simple figures, about 80% of people 65 years or older are taking some sort of prescription medicine. And that shouldn't be at all. I mean, if we were to be proactive and do our homework and learn about it, and you're never too young to start, because you're never too young to be sick. We're looking at young athletes dropping dead because of heart problems. And we're looking people in their 30s and 40s with cancer, with high blood pressure, with diabetes, with all these diseases. And what is the outlook? Are we going to put them on medication for the next 50 years? I mean, let alone the cost. Okay, that could be expensive. But what about quality of life? What about enjoyment? What about performance, which is what life should be about? I mean, we are probably the last individuals of generations of people where you could be getting to be 70 or 80 and be productive and active and travel and do things you love to do. But we're seeing younger and younger people now with chronic diseases that are being a handicap to their lives, that are going to be limiting at this age.
Doctor, it has been a great honor to have you on, and we appreciate your wisdom. We will have you back again. Reverend Williams, you hold on. We'll be talking about the economy at the beginning of next hour. We're going to be talking about the economy now. Anybody, though, that is in the audience that wants a IBC Hospital telephone number or Dr. Rodriguez telephone number. We'll be happy to give those out. Reverend, I am absolutely astounded. Last week, I had my listeners who purchased some of these fractional silver coins that I have been offering, and although I haven't talked about it very much publicly, fractional gold ingots, and they got a 10% bonus last week. I just checked. Silver jumped $1.04 today. In one day, it jumped $1.04. Gold jumped $40. I think we're on our way again.
They can't keep it down any longer. They intentionally manipulated it, is the reason that both gold and silver went down. And then when I found out why they had manipulated it, I was utterly appalled. One of my insiders told me about it, and I have begged people ever since I found out what their reasoning was. I've begged them not to sell the gold, not to sell the silver, hold on to it, don't get discouraged because the price went down a little bit, because where it is going now is going to be amazing.
Well, for me, it's frustrating because I see what's coming. I've talked to you, and I realize the source of all this. It is being caused. It's. I was going to say it's artificial, yeah, but these people really intend to destroy our economy. Is that accurate?
That is completely accurate. You're right. How they intend to do it is so dastardly that I am utterly amazed when I hear my elite friends talking about it. And the trial run that they made back on Wednesday, June the 19th, and Thursday and Friday the 20th and the 21st, the American people were used as a guinea pig, and a trial run was made by the elite to see what they could do and to see exactly how they could do it in order to bring every currency in the world down at the same time whenever they get ready to.
What was it? Just a few days after you were on my show last time, Bernanke got on the tube and said, well, we're thinking maybe we're going to have to start raising interest rates, and the stock market fell like a rock.
That's exactly right. And it was done by a plan. Let me basically, for everyone out there in your listening audience, let me try to put this in perspective if I can. I'll try to take those days one by one and tell you how I found out what I did about it. First of all, though, before I do, Mills, allow me, if I may, I know that Dr. Rodriguez is no longer on the phone. He has dropped off. But I'd like to say to everyone out there in the listening audience, Dr. Rodriguez will personally talk with you. This is the most unusual situation here I've ever seen in my life. The doctors take time for you. They will listen to what you have to say. And I urge you to call Dr. Rodriguez personally. He will get back in touch with you, or email him, and he will answer your question. I was so convinced when I found out what the healthcare system is really all about that I just produced, the week before I came here to the IBC Hospital for my wife to get treatment on her rheumatoid arthritis, I produced a new DVD. I have waited 37 years to do this because I was afraid to. The elite have told me over the years where they go to stay well. I have known these things for a long time. I have used them, and it's worked. And as a result, I'm 77 years of age and as healthy as I was when I was in my 50s. I have used their plans, and I have told you all of their secrets. Please go to LindseyWilliams.net. And you will find there our new DVD series entitled Healing the Elite Way. And I've taken an hour and 48 minutes to tell you where they go, what they do, what their secrets are, and a lot of things that will be of help to you. Now, also, please jot down our toll-free number. The toll-free number for our new DVD series is 888-666-6666. 888-799-6111, or you can go on the internet to Lindsey, Lindsey, Williams.net, LindseyWilliams.net, or 888-799-6111. And in the DVD series, one of the things that I feature is the IBC Hospital, where my elite friend told me years ago to come to. Now, with that said, let me try to answer your question if I can. There was a test made. It was intentionally done. They had planned it in advance. And Mr. Bernanke, as you said that just a moment ago, Mills, you were exactly right. Mr. Bernanke, on Wednesday afternoon, after the markets closed on June the 19th, he hinted at the fact that they might stop their buying of mortgage-backed securities and other things and injecting $85 billion into the economy every month. Now, that was done intentionally. He did not make a slip of the tongue. What he said was done intentionally. The elite already knew it. He'd already been told what to say, and they were going to sit back and watch what happened that weekend. And here's what took place. On the following morning, on Thursday morning, I received 2 emails from my elite friend. I was utterly appalled at what these 2 emails said. I immediately picked up the telephone and called him, and I said, would you please explain this? And what he explained to me was, he said, Chaplain, do you know how the economies of the currencies of the world will be brought down all at one time? And I said, well, I have heard it's going to be with derivatives, the derivative market. And he said, that's exactly right. And he said, a test is being run right now on that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The elite ran a test to see how they can collapse the derivative market overnight whenever they get ready to do it. And when Mr. Bernanke made that statement the following morning, on Thursday, June the 20th, if you were following what happened, the 7-day repo rate, benchmark rate for the funding costs between banks, it normally stays around 3.3%. It surged on Thursday morning after he made his statement to 8.26%. And by Friday, during the night, it went to 12.33% and basically shut down trading between banks overnight. That's not the worst part of what happened, though. The worst part is what it did to the derivative market. And my elite friend said to me, he said, Chaplain, do you know the connection between interest rates and the derivative market? Now, some of you realize that the derivative market is approximately 2 quadrillion. I can't even imagine this. I can't comprehend it. But that's what they're telling me, that the derivative market now, this glorious Las Vegas-style gambling arena that all banks and super wealthy people deal in day after day, is approximately $2 quadrillion. And they know that whenever they bring that down, that it'll bring every currency in the world with it. Now, not just the American currency, but China and the euro and India and all the currencies of the world, they'll bring them down at the same time. And he said, do you know what the connection between interest rates and the derivative market are? And I said, no. He said, the derivative market operates on interest rates. Let me read you one, and please bear with me because you need to understand just how all this fits in. The Bank of International Settlements made this statement just a few days ago. Now, you cannot get any bigger than the Bank of International Settlements. And I want to read you their statement that was made on 6/26 of 13. The number one reason why rapidly raising interest rates could cause the entire global financial system to crash. Now, are you hearing this? The Bank of International Settlements said this. The number one reason why rapidly rising interest rates could cause the entire global financial system to crash is because there are more than, you ready, if you have those pencils and paper handy, more than 441 trillion, no, not billion, there's more than $441 trillion worth of interest rate derivatives. Oh my goodness, when my friend explained to me interest rate derivatives, that means that where interest rates go is one of the things that the derivative market bets on. They bet that the 10-year note might go up 0.25% or a fraction of a percent. These bets go on in the tune of billions of dollars overnight while you and I are sleeping, and this interest rate derivatives market on any given day is $441 trillion. We think that we have a big national debt when we have $17 trillion. It is a drop in the bucket compared to the global gambling arena which the elite play and the nations of the world and every bank in the world plays in on any given night. And when Mr. Bernanke said what it did, it immediately raised the repo rate, the benchmark rate of charging between banks. And then over the weekend, it got so drastic that my phone was just ringing off the hook and saying, Chaplain, we're going to have a worldwide financial collapse on Monday morning. Well, my elite friend had said to me, Chaplain, there's not going to be any collapse on Monday morning. And I said, why not? He said, this is a test. We want to see what we can do to that interest rate derivative. And he said, after it's all over with, we'll settle the markets back down again before Monday morning. And so I knew that on Monday morning nothing was going to happen, but I want to give you the next figure. Mills, I was dumbfounded 1 week later. Now, this is 1 week after that test. It was done on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, June the 19th, 20, and 21. 1 week later, I got the report. 1 week later. Here it is. Please write this down. Global derivative market suffered within 7 days. Now, please, this is the method that they have already tried and tested, and you were used as a guinea pig. The global derivative market, within 1 week's time after that test, suffered a staggering $300 trillion of losses because of those interest rates.
Holy moly.
How much did the Federal Reserve lose? This, again, taxpayers, you better listen. Because of that test by the elite to see how they can bring the world currencies down all at one time, the Federal Reserve, lost $151 billion in bond values in 7 days. $151 billion. Those bond values are what pays the interest on the national debt of $17 to $18 trillion. And you, as taxpayers, are responsible for that $151 billion that the bond values lost because of a test on the part of the elite to see how they can bring down the derivative market. And they know now, when they get ready, how they're going to bring all the currencies of the world to a collapse at one time.
This is real. This is not fiction.
No, this is real. They already have everything in place. They know how to. They're not ready yet. Let me assure you. Don't go and get worried. Don't lose any sleep over it tonight. That was a test. They wanted to see how to do it. Now they know how. They do not want the currencies of the world to collapse yet. It won't happen in the next 3 months. Don't get upset. But they have already tried, used the banking system as a guinea pig to see how they can do it. And I'm very concerned. I'm not setting any dates. Don't you dare go away from the Mills Crenshaw show and say that Lindsey Williams set a date, because I am not. But I am very concerned from what I'm hearing from my elite friends about anything after January the 1st of next year.
Reverend, I want to get your opinion on this. I make it clear to my listeners that I do not sell for investment purposes. I'm selling for self-defense, for protection against runaway inflation, and so that if paper currency collapses, they'll have something to barter with. Do you see that as a rational approach?
Paper currency positively is going to collapse. It's already planned. In fact, I'm going to stick my neck way out and say something that I don't think I've said on any radio show so far. But from what I'm getting from my elite friends, I believe that the paper currency is going to collapse before the stock market collapses. It's inevitable. And you must have gold and silver. It is the only thing that you can trust in. That's what Abraham trusted in. Moses trusted in it. look at the first metal ever mentioned in the Bible. I think it's in Genesis chapter 3, and it talks about gold, and it says that it is good. Now, gold and silver have been used as currencies throughout all of the time that man has been on the face of the earth, and is the only thing that has ever been able to be trusted. And it's the only thing that you can trust now. And I urge you to do exactly what Mills Crenshaw has said. You need to get as much of his silver as you possibly can. I'm glad that you're putting it in small increments, because when the price goes to $75 to $100 an ounce on silver, which it will, just a matter of time, then those small increments will be what you go to the grocery store with, Mills.
Well, that's what I reasoned in my mind, and that's why I decided to do that. I haven't even really talked on the air much about gold. There is only one gold item that I personally deal in, and those are grams that are minted by one of the largest Swiss banks in the world. And it is a small enough unit that today you can still buy it for less than $100. And when the price of gold triples, and I think you've said that that's rational, it'll be a small enough unit that you can do something with. What are they going to do with 1 full ounce of gold? It'll be so valuable that how are you going to get change?
That's true. You won't. Unless you're buying a large item, or you're going to the gold dealers and getting cash in exchange for gold. You're exactly right, Mills.
Ray and Sandy, welcome. You're on K-Talk.
Hi, is that me?
Yeah, it's you.
Okay, I just wanted to say I'm very thankful to hear that Lindsey is on the program today. I heard him the very last time, and if I remember right, it was on the Rents program. But he had something very interesting that caught my attention. I'd like to run that by him again in case he has some updated information on this. He said to the listening audience that sometime around August there's going to be a very major crisis that will change our lives, and after that nothing is going to go back to the same way we know life as it has been. Do you have anything further on that, Lindsey?
I do not remember setting a date for August.
You didn't say a date. You said sometime around August. You couldn't be pinned down. A couple of people, I think, tried. But you said sometime around August.
Well, I don't remember the statement.
I'll tell you what I think has happened, Ray. You correct me if I'm wrong. I think what you have done is you've sort of put together two different guests that I've had. I had a woman that had a near-death experience, and she said after 2014, in 2015, that she saw drastic changes that would affect our lives forever. She would not be more specific than that.
Well, you know, Mills, what you're just saying now is quite interesting, and I'll remember that. But I didn't happen to have the good fortune to catch that show.
Okay. All right. I apologize.
Well, that's fine.
That's fine.
I will stick my neck out this far. After the test run that the elite did, which I just mentioned a moment ago and gave you the details of, I am very concerned. I'm not saying that they have given me a date, because they have not. I am very concerned about anything after January the 1st of 2014. I have been fairly well assured by my elite friends that they will let me personally know maybe a few weeks or a few months in advance before they decide to bring down the derivative market. And when it happens, when I get that information, I promise I will give it out. I will give it out on my website, lindseywilliams.net, Lindsey, Williams.net. I will also send an email to Mills. Mills, I promise you that if I know in advance, which I've been fairly well assured I will give you send you an email or call you on the phone and say, Mills, I think I have something exciting enough that I'd like to be on your show.
Excellent. That's a promise. Ray, anything else?
No, that was something that I was hoping to get an update on. I wrote down, I have followed Lindsey for a number of years. He has, to me, a very special person in many ways. So I have followed him, and the things he says, I write down every time he's on the air. And that's what I wrote down, so I don't know how it got fouled up.
Well, thank you so much for your confidence. I appreciate it immensely. I would never want to betray that confidence, and be assured everything that I know from these people. Now, you'll also notice when you go to LindseyWilliams.net that I posted the 2 emails that I received from my elite friend on that Thursday, June the 20th. I posted those 2 on LindseyWilliams.net. You can print them out. It's a free website. It won't cost you a penny. And you can print those out if you wish and see exactly what the elite did with that test run.
Well, thank you so much, Lindsey, for all the updating you give us, for the alerts that we are given. I have full confidence in the things you are saying.
Well, I am so concerned. It's almost unbelievable. I made this trip to Tijuana, Mexico, because I see some catastrophic events taking place in healthcare in America. I know so many doctors who have quit. I mean, physically, literally, personal friends of mine who have said, we have set a certain date that we will no longer be a part of the medical profession. And one startling statement that was made by a doctor in Washington State. In fact, he's the leading brain surgeon in the state of Washington and Oregon. And he spoke to Anita just the other day, a very personal friend of mine in our family, and said that if he is required to abide by the rules of the new healthcare system as of January the 1st, that the very meticulous operations that he makes on a person's brain, he said 50% of the people would die on the operating table if I'm required to abide by the new dictates of the healthcare system.
Scary stuff.
It really is, and we need these wonderful specialists. I've heard Lindsey tell that story one other time, and I can imagine and appreciate the experience the man has, and he's so willing to give and help to others. So thank you, Lindsey. I appreciate you.
And thank you, Ray. Appreciate the call. 254-5855 is the number. If you are listening to us on your computer and you're out of state, you can call in and ask Lindsey any questions you've got. The number 801-254-5855. And Lindsey, you'll be interested to know that I've had your fans contact me to get both silver and these very small units of gold. I've shipped them to Louisiana and to Washington, D.C., and to California. And I give very special attention to these people who have called as a result of your being on the show. And if anyone is interested in getting silver or these very small units of gold, which you can get for less than $100 each, call my producer right now, give him your name and your phone number, and I promise I will call you right after I get off the air. Telephone number again, 801-254-5855. Okay, Greg, welcome.
Yes, so I'd like to direct a question to your guest first, Mills, and then one to you. Mr. Williams, do you think a small silver coin like Mills is talking about would be a useful item in the coming times?
Oh, positively. I would highly recommend that you get it. In fact, I get a whole bunch of them if I were you.
Now, I would ask you the second question to that. Would one that was identifiable by virtue of that you're familiar with it be more useful than one that is not identifiable?
You're talking about U.S. coins, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, I think the state of Utah, Mills, your state, I am so proud of you. I believe the state of Utah recently passed a state bill through the legislature saying that gold and silver coins minted by the United States Mint must be accepted by the grocery store, the hardware store, and payment of debt in your state. I think there's coming a time that people will have to use gold and silver for payment. And I think they stated in the bill that coins minted by the United States were required. You don't have any choice. The grocery store has to accept it, required to accept them.
Yeah, and thank you for that question, Greg. The problem is they have on their face a value, and that's what the merchants will have to accept. And so if you have a paper dollar, they won't necessarily have to accept that, because that is a treasury. I'm sorry, it's not a treasury note. It is a debt instrument from the Fed. If you have a silver dollar, they will have to accept it, but they only have to give you $1 for it. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. The fact that it has a face value on it is a limiting factor, whereas pure bullion is not required. And they don't have to accept that at anything more than the face value. But if it's pure bullion, you can barter with it. You can get them to set whatever you work out between you and somebody else. Bob in Idaho, welcome. You're on K-Talk.
Hi, just to clarify what you said there. Yeah, essentially, whatever the market is on the daily market varies, of course. Whatever that is determines the currency value in whatever respective country you're in by the gold or silver content. But, yeah, a question for Lindsey, and we go way back to Art Bell over 10 years ago when Lindsey first started blowing a whistle. Hey, we appreciate what you've done. You help people to open their eyes. But right now, as we speak, in Moscow, Russia, there is an economic summit going on with most major countries in the world represented, determining the economic situation of the world. And Russia sits on top, as Lindsey knows, some of the largest oil reserves, larger than Saudi Arabia. Moscow holds the reins on what happens in the Middle East. I mean, they could buy a false flag operation or whatever. They could put Iran into a situation where Iran would think they're under attack from the West, and Iran has stated as policy that they will immediately attack Saudi Arabia with VX, which would take Saudi Arabia offline. And if you want to see a world go unstable real quick, hey, the cards are on the table.
Okay,
and,
Bob, we're at the break. Hold on, and we'll get Reverend Williams' response to that right after this commercial break. Reverend Williams, do you have any comment about Bob's comment?
Am I still in there?
Yes. Let's see. We went through the break, and I had some other things on my mind here. Review his question again, please.
Okay, Bob, shorthand version.
Am I still in there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Short.
Yeah. Hi again, Lindsey. What the thing about it is right now, Mr. Putin holds all the cards. And, of course, we always think...
okay, no lecture, Bob. Just rephrase and the shortest...
Okay, I got it, Mills. Let me go back to it, because Russia became, as of 2 years ago, Russia bypassed Saudi Arabia as being the number one oil producer in the world. And at this point, because of their super deep coal SG3 wells, they've gone down and gotten abiotic oil. And he's exactly right. They could do anything they want to in relation. They could cancel out Saudi Arabia to the point that we would have $8-10 a gallon gasoline in America if they wanted to. And Iran has threatened to do this if there's certain conflicts over there. So we're sitting in a very, very precarious position right now as a as a country because of crude oil.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, can I?
Good comment.
Hey, can I throw one at
Bob,
one?
I'm buried with people. I've got to move on. Cheryl, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, welcome.
Hey, I just wanted to ask another question. Obviously, these people don't mind causing suffering to others, including kids. You've spoken with them, and I was wondering what their mindset is. I know some are occultists, but are the others evolutionists, or do they think they're superior by their lineage, or what's their thought processes?
Their name of the game is control. Now, I lived with them for 3 years' time. By the providence of God, I had the privilege of being invited to be their chaplain and literally lived with these people at Prudhoe Bay for those who came there over those 3 years. And they feel that they have a God-given, their God. I don't imagine it would be your God or mine. But their God, they feel they have a God-given right to be able to control us because we don't have sense enough to run our own affairs. And they really feel that they have a right to do this. Hitler had the identical same motivation. Stalin, Mao, Mussolini. It's no different. It's the same mindset. The name of the game is control of the world. And the reason for the New World Order is the same thing. They want total control of all the currency, all the people, the healthcare system that is going to take place on January the 1st of 2014 is probably one of the most horrifying control factors that the elite have ever been able to put through Congress, and they paid off to do it. And I hope that people will realize the desperateness of what they're going to face, because it's so much more than a healthcare system.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No, I see this is kind of like a reprocessed Nazism in a way, and so, okay, thank you for helping me to understand that a little better.
Thank you. Appreciate your call very much.
Bye-bye.
801-254-5855 is the number, and we're privileged to have Reverend Lindsey Williams on with us. Let's go to Lisa in Cottonwood. Lisa, welcome.
Hi there, Mills. Enjoying your show as usual. I'd like to have Mr. Lindsey there, Mr. Williams, rather, Reverend Williams, comment on two things. One, the Bitcoin. Two, China's biggest refinery that they're building in Saudi Arabia there, right on the Red Sea. I think the name of the town is Yandol, I think it is, or DU. Anyway, right there, and it's going to be the biggest oil refinery in the world, and China is buying up oil in South America and everywhere, and everyone knows that when you get ready to buy oil, you have to change your currency to dollars, because oil since 1973 is traded in dollars, U.S. dollars only. And the whole fight is about that, because Russia doesn't want that, China doesn't want that. And as you know, when we went to a war in Iraq, Saddam Hussein was trying to sell oil to the French and the English in euro dollars, in Germany too, I think. And so the Bitcoin has thrown a hammer in all of their thinking a little bit, and I know that CDOs, consolidated debt obligations and credit swap defaults and all that pay into it, but the Bitcoin is something that they don't like at all, and I'm just going to hang up and listen to your comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the call.
America is no longer the petrodollar. It has been ever since petroleum has been used in our modern day world. As of China, within the past year doing what they've done, the American dollar is no longer the petrodollar, and this is one of the reasons that the dollar is going to see drastic problems in coming days, is because the standard currency of the world has always been crude oil. And whatever crude oil was denominated in was the petro currency. And the petrodollar is no longer the American dollar. As of this past year, it's more the Chinese dollar now than the American dollar. we're in big, big trouble. The average person does not realize that there are literally trillions and trillions and trillions of American dollars floating around out there in the world that are no longer needed, no longer used, because they're using other currencies now beside the standard currency of the world, or the American dollar as the reserve currency. So this is, we're facing a drastic, these American dollars floating around, trillions of them out there, are going to come home within the next 6 to 9 months to 1 year. And when they return, it's going to be like the chickens come home to roost. It is going to be a very unusual day. It's only a matter of time until it happens.
Interesting. Thank you. Appreciate that call. Telephone number again, 801-254-5855. And Reverend, we've got a caller now from Reading, Pennsylvania. Katie, welcome. You're on K-Talk.
Yes, it's exciting to speak to you, Reverend Williams. I've been listening to you for quite a while. My question is about the fire that was reported in the basement of the J.P. Morgan building on Wall Street on Saturday. I was wondering if you had heard anything about that.
Well, I haven't, because I've been in Mexico for 2 weeks. I've been trying to investigate how we can help you stay well, especially after this new health care bill comes in. So, no, I did not know about that, and I apologize. But I've been centering my attention on health care here for the past 2 weeks.
Okay. The reason why I asked the question is because it supposedly involved the gold vaults, and there has been a lot of speculation on the Internet about perhaps if there wasn't a little hocus-pocus going on there. And also, it was quite interesting that silver and gold both shot up quite directly last evening when the markets opened in Asia. So I thought I'd ask you if you heard anything about that from your friends.
Well, I did hear something about the J.P. Morgan Gold Vault, and I'll try to give it to you quickly if I can. I know we're running out of time here.
Okay.
On, let's see, June the 12th of 2013, J.P. Morgan announced that their gold vault had dropped 28.4% overnight. People had demanded physical delivery, and they said that if that trend continued, that their gold vault would have no gold in it within, I think they said 2 months, 2.5 months. And they had 6,000, I'm going to give you the exact number. They had 6,208 customers that demanded physical delivery. Now, if they had a fire at the gold vault, it very well could be a distractive method, because many of the gold vaults of the world, the COMEX, J.P. Morgan, many of them in Europe, have had people demand, and nations demand, physical delivery, and they can't give it because they don't have it.
Right. We thought it was very suspect because there were supposedly 30 fire engines on site, and there are live streaming videos of what happened. And as far as I know, there were no police present. So it seemed rather interesting, especially since the price of precious metals shot up directly after that the next time the market opened.
Most vaults are absolutely fireproof.
Exactly. Very odd occurrence. If you could ask someone about that, I doubt that they'll tell you what really happened, but I thought that was quite interesting. And it has not really been on the mainstream news either.
Yeah, well, you might be surprising. Sometimes they do answer my questions about things like that, so yes, I'll be glad to ask. And you're right, it sounds very fishy.
That's what we thought.
Hey, Katie, thank you for listening to K-Talk today, and now that you've found us, don't be a stranger.
Oh, I won't be, and it was a great pleasure to speak to you, Reverend Williams.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your confidence, and Lord bless.
To you also. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Telephone number 801-254-5855. A very interesting story before we run out of time, Reverend Lindsey. I found this fascinating. Hundreds of pastors prayed over and laid hands on Senators Rand Paul and his wife and Ted Cruz at an evangelical ministers meeting in Iowa this weekend, and I thought you might be interested in commenting on that.
Congratulations to them. If there was ever a time that ministers need to take a stand and say something and get out there and pray for our government officials, it's right now.
We're going to be going through a pretty rough session, I would think.
Well, we're going through what they have wanted. Their goal has been, ever since Daddy Bush announced the New World Order years ago, the goal has always been the same. It's just that they're finally beginning to get to the culmination of it all. And you and I never thought maybe that we'd see it in our lifetime, but I'm afraid it's here. So you can take precautions. Do what you hear Mills Crenshaw say. Please get his silver. I beg of you to do it. It's a marvelous idea. And listen to the Mills Crenshaw show every day. Don't miss a thing, because he's going to tell you what's happening out there. Please go to LindseyWilliams.net. And you need to get my 2 latest DVD series. One is entitled Healing, the Elite Way. You may not need it today. You will need it after January the 1st. And please get it now. It's not copywritten. Copy it and give it to everybody you can. And Signs the Elite have just given me. It was put out just prior to the Healing DVD. Please get those 2 and copy them. Give them out to everyone you can. Our toll-free number, if you wish to use it, I think I gave here a moment ago, and it is 888-799-6111, or go to LindseyWilliams.net. Mills, it has been a privilege to be back on your show today.
Always an honor to have you on, and we will be inviting you back soon.
Thank you. And I appreciate you having Dr. Rodriguez on.
Oh, it was a great pleasure. I think the information he gave is very valuable, and we have his number here, and we'll keep it to give out to anybody who needs it.
Thank you so much, and Lord bless, and have a wonderful day.
The same to you, sir. Thank you very much.